Thank you. All right, so this morning we had to kind of rush through the end of that lesson, but the whole point of the lesson is that in life, we can just drift along and hope that we are hiking on the right path and hope that we're going to make it to the top of the mountain. But if we really want to achieve our goals, we need a plan. We need to prepare. We need to set ourselves up for success and set goals. And we need to set up plans so that we can achieve those goals with small steps so that we can get there to the top of the mountain. Because it feels great when you achieve a goal. When your teacher writes to you and says, awesome job getting that assignment in, great job working on those things on your story, great job being responsible and talking to me about why something didn't come in. That feels really good to be responsible. So I know all of you want that, and we're all working on that. For today, this is math time, but we didn't get a chance to talk about the language arts lesson. So I'm actually going to do a really quick blurb on the language arts lesson too, because it's the part that has the fun thing in it. And then we'll go to math. I'm going to turn the chat off, except for to me, so that we won't be distracted by that. Perfect. It looks like Kaino already did that for me. Thanks, Kaino. So today's lesson in language arts is lesson 2.02, and it's 10 pages long. So yesterday you should have submitted 2.01. You should be done with that one and moving on to 2.02. I would like, even if you didn't submit that quiz yesterday, I'd like you to kind of try to move on to 2.02 so that you know what's going on. Or you can come back and watch this video later to see how to do it. Here is lesson 2.02. You're going to scroll down to mod 2, exploration. You already did your pretest. You already did lesson 2.01 and that quick little quiz. And now we're on lesson 2.02. We're doing that today. We are not submitting, I think, today. Let me just double check our plan. Today is Wednesday. Let's see, today, 2.02, but just the lesson, submit nothing. So tomorrow's when we'll submit that assignment. And I'll explain why, because it's actually a writing assignment. So today you do not have to submit anything. We're just reading the lesson. So let's see, 2.02, quote, life in a fort. We've been talking about forts. We've been talking about Fort Vancouver. But today you're going to be invited to build a fort. Yay! You don't have to do it if your parents don't want you to make a mess in the house, but it is fun to build forts. Let's see what it says. So there are 10 pages here. You'll see on the assignment, it said that part of it is going to be your writing lesson. So we're going to start the lesson. I'll show you the pages to cover. So here's Carolina. We're back with her. She's visiting St. Augustine, Florida, because the people who write this curriculum are in Florida, which is why I've kind of substituted Fort Vancouver, because I think it's cool to know about a fort that's really close by that you can visit. But this talks about this field trip in Carolina or in Florida, I'm sorry. And it talks about what we're going to do. These are your goals of what we'll be doing today. So again, we're using quotes accurately. We're writing a narrative essay. That's that same one that we already started. And we're demonstrating our cursive writing skills. What I usually ask kids to do is in your notebook, your English notebook, which is going to be the one that I didn't grab. Nope, here it is. In your English notebook, it's got those pages on cursive writing skills. It is also not the notebook for the whole year. It's only the first 5 units. It only goes to unit 5. So when you come back to school to get the next unit, I'm going to ask you to leave this for me so I can take a look at your cursive writing. Okay. If you are the kind of kid who likes to hold on to your notebooks and you want it back, you may take pictures of your cursive writing and send them to me instead of turning in your notebook. But we'll turn it in when you trade out for the next notebook. So here we are on the first page, and it's a cursive writing page. So you guys have been doing that all year. How many of you really like cursive writing and are having fun with it? Anybody? Usually the girls in my class like cursive writing, not to be sexist, but you know. Reading corner, thrilled to build. You like it, Eli? Yeah.
No, wait, no. I don't write cursive, but I wrote like in my writing, and I used to be the best writer in my class.
Well, I hope you're filling out those pages. What I'm trying to tell you is you do need to be practicing your cursive writing.
I know how to write my name in cursive.
Big stretch, Junior Explorer. You, Carolina, and Eduardo have finally arrived at Fort Morgan in Mobile, Alabama. Now we're in Alabama. Choose a room in your house that is safe to build a fort in. To build your fort, you'll need some materials. And so this is an invitation for you to actually build a fort. And when you come to writing at 12:20, you may be in your fort. Take your computer into your fort and Zoom to me from your fort. Not right now yet, Eli. You get to build it after this meeting. Okay? So on page 3 of this, it invites you to build a fort. And that's just kind of to think about how a fort protects you from the weather, how it stays strong. If your fort were outside, would it really be strong enough? I doubt it. Then we go on to the next page, which is page 4. So you are invited to build a fort for our next meeting. And we're talking about inference again. Like I told you, this is a repetition. Here's a new story, Life in a Fort. And do you remember seeing my picture this morning with the fort behind me? You'll have to think about how our fort, Fort Vancouver, looks sort of like this, but sort of different. Here's a little story about life in a fort, has a table of contents, has a glossary, has an introduction, and talks about this fort. It's a real short story. And then they ask some questions about it. So just getting into the practice of reading things. Read the whole book, Life in a Fort, read each question asked in the text and double underline. So here's the big story. This one on page 5 is the big story, Life in a Fort, that you need to read through. You could read this in your fort. I snuggled up with a blanket and read this book in my fort. Now we're to page 6, proud to read out loud. This is talking about reading out loud, which we always practice in our book clubs. It has a little section that you read and they ask you to record yourself here. That's just for practice, but the more you read out loud, the better you'll get. And on page 7, it starts the writer's workshop. So you do not need to do this morning. We're going to work on this afternoon. And this is some planning for our story. Page 8, also planning for the story. They tell you to, this is the writing prompt, the same one you had before, right? And then they have this narrative writing graphic organizer, and you are actually going to fill this out. But this is not the assignment. Oh yeah, it is the assignment for 2.02. So this is also your writing thing. And last time we made a story mountain. This is just a different way of planning a story where you list your characters, list your setting, list your problem, list your major events. If you are making a Google Doc, like, where is it? Right here. You can do that here. So you can just write setting, characters. It does not have to be on that other form. Problem. All of those things, just list them on your Google Doc that you've already shared with me, okay? And then page 9, what did I learn? Lesson summary. And page 10, what is my assignment? Complete, take a picture of, and submit your graphic organizer. Again, on this assignment, instead of submitting this graphic organizer, if you would like to, you may submit something that says, I did it on my Google Doc, but please submit something so I know you did the assignment, okay? And make sure you've already submitted or shared your Google Doc with me. Any questions about that writing assignment?
So is it like a graphic organizer?
It is, but you do not have to use their graphic organizer. If you just want to use your Google Doc and list those things, you can. That makes sense? Yes, no, we'll talk about it more at writing time. And now we're into math. So today in math, we are doing lesson 3.02, both the assignment and the lesson. So it's a kind of a quick one, 3.02. So you should already have taken your pretest. You should already have done Power Hour. We worked on that yesterday together. And now we're on Estimation Nation. So here it comes. It's only 5 pages long. It's a pretty quick one. And it starts right here. We're going to be doing estimating. Remember, that means even if you're really good at lining up numbers and adding them exactly, that's not what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to come up with a quicker way to do it, where you estimate. So that includes rounding. Monster estimation practice. Solve each equation in your interactive notebook. We can estimate products of whole numbers by rounding. Remember to follow these steps when rounding. Underline the place value that you're rounding to. Decide whether to round up, 5 to the sky, or 4 to the floor, right? So these are actual equations. They did not ask you to round. So you're doing your actual algorithm for multiplication. 3 times 7 is 21. We put the 1 here. We put the 2 10s up here. 3 times 3 is 9. We add the 2 10s, 10, 11 10s, and we put that there. Okay. That's just practicing to remind you. To round 462 to the nearest 100, we underline the 4 because that's the 100 place. Remember, it ends in a D, not a TH. Then we look at the number just to the right and we say, is this 5 or more or 4 or less? And we change it. We round up from 4 to 5, and everything to the right of the number that we underline is a 0. I've seen lots of people making the mistake of leaving numbers over here, but once you underline, everything to the right is a 0. So be careful with that, okay? This talks about it. It's just going over it again. You're going to be like, gosh, I already did this. I know how to do this, Ms. Laws. Well, that's great. But in Florida Virtual, they like to go over concepts lots of times, which is why I sometimes tell you not to stay on your old assignments, but to move along with us, because you're going to have a chance to do it again. They give you lots of chances. It's a secular thing, so they come back to it over and over again. Marv is up next. Here's the problem he pulled out of the hat. He has to estimate the product of this. Now, you might sit down, put those numbers next to each other and start timesing them. Your answer will be wrong, even if your answer is actually the correct answer, because they're not asking you to give me the exact answer. They're asking you to estimate. So please follow these directions. Round each factor to what they ask you to estimate to. So here they're saying the nearest 10. That's step 1, figure out what you're estimating to. Step 2, you're going to have to pick the number that's in the 10 spot, the 1, and you know that 1 is going to stay the same or it's going to go up, right? What number do we look at to decide if 1 becomes 2? Can anyone tell me? Friends? Hello?
Oh, wait, what? Oh, sorry.
So when you look at the number 18 and you're rounding it to the nearest 10, you underline 1. And then what number do you look at to decide if it's going to stay 1 or round up to 2?
8.
8. You look at the number just to the right and you say, is 8 5 to the sky? So
If it's greater than 5, or if it is 5 or greater, then you add up to 20.
Right.
But if it's lower than
change
that,
it to 2. Right. And then everything to the right goes to 0. So be careful. So now the equation 18 times 71 has become 20 times 70. We knew 2 times 7 is 14. And then we just have to put the zeros on there. Okay. And here's our solution, 1400. It's 14 plus the 2 zeros, the 10 and the 10. And you check it. And the real answer is 1,278. And so 1400 was a good guess. All right. That's what, but they want the estimate, not the real answer. So you're going to be like, I got the right answer, Ms. Laws, but it tells me it's wrong. That's because you have to read the problem carefully to see if they want the exact answer or if they want an estimate. Now they have you check on page 4. And then on page 5, it says, what's my assignment? Do the 3.02 Estimation Nation quiz. So you guys, I want you to go back to page 1 of this assignment. Read through the lesson, do the exercises, and submit that quiz. Okay, so this is 3.02 Estimation Nation. Everybody find that. I'm going to stop my share and check, set up breakout rooms. Is there anybody who would prefer to work with a partner on this assignment? Yeah, a couple people. Okay.
me.
So I'm going to assign you guys to rooms, but then if you want to be with partners, stay here and I'll assign you to the same room, okay? And if you have a question for me, or if I've sent you a note saying, let's talk about this, please come back in and talk to me because I have a hard time remembering who I sent those notes to, okay? So if you want a partner, stay with me. If you're going to work on your own, you may go to your breakout room, but remember to do Dreambox